USA. It's 4 o'clock.
From the WDAY News Center, this is Ty Schoenert, and it's time for your Flag News Update. News this hour brought to you by Freedom Matters USA. New details are being released after a single propeller plane made an emergency landing near Regent over the weekend. Officials say 52-year-old pilot John Wiseman clipped a power line when attempting to fly under it on Saturday. Wiseman, his 16-year-old son, and his 11-year-old daughter were on a recreational ride from Mott and were taking pictures of the Enchanted Highway. Those on board suffered minor injuries and were checked out at the hospital. Electronic pull tabs are being kept out of grocery stores and gas stations. The Administrative Rules Committee in North Dakota State Legislature voted to uphold a moratorium on the machines in those locations placed there by the Gaming Commission in May. The Director of Charitable Gaming says the original intention by the legislature is to keep the machines in bars only. North Dakota spent more than $1.7 billion on the 4,400 machines statewide in 2022. And new lawmakers are being welcomed to the North Dakota legislature. New legislators took the oath of office yesterday and began practicing in an orientation program. Representative Dawson Hall is the youngest lawmaker, elected at the age of 18. Representative Hamida Kane is believed to be the first Muslim person and first black person elected to the legislature out of Fargo. This is Ty Schoenert with The Flag and AM1100theflag.com. First at the news when you need to know.
Hey, Chris Berg here. Do you feel hungry? Maybe you need some fuel for your body, your vehicle. If so, then you need to stop into your local PetroServe USA, where you can also go into their Cafe USA. Get some hot stuffed pizzas, some fresh burgers, some roasted chicken, appetizers, and so much more. It's a perfect place right now to fill up your car and your body at your local PetroServe USA with a Cafe USA. PetroServe USA, helping you and America fuel better.
Guilty on all counts. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Former President Trump's company, the Trump Organization, convicted in a New York tax fraud case.
They've now been held accountable in a court of law right here in Manhattan.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg says it's a case about lying and cheating. The convictions coming on the second day of deliberations and after a 3-year investigation. Trump's longtime finance chief, who pleaded guilty in a related case, testified as part of his deal with prosecutors, laying out the tax-free perks given to top executives without reporting the income.
In the words of the prosecutors, the Trump Organization basically had this web and long time ongoing activity to try and skip out on paying taxes by giving perks such as cars, rent-free apartments, paying for school tuition for executives in order to avoid the taxes.
Fox's Eric Shawn, the Trump Organization could face a fine of more than $1 million. The defense will appeal, though, insisting the company didn't know about the fraud. Trump was not charged, but still faces a business-related civil lawsuit filed by the state attorney general. The former president also faces scrutiny from special counsel Jack Smith, overseeing 2 Justice Department investigations involving efforts to overturn the 2020 election and documents found at Trump's Florida home. Smith has issued his first known subpoenas seeking records from 4 states. President Biden visiting his 4th computer chip plant since September, this time in Arizona, highlighting investments he says are spurred by the Bipartisan CHIPS Act signed earlier this year and part of a broader economic agenda.
What I'm most excited about is people are starting to feel a sense of optimism as they see the impact of the achievements in their own lives.
Republican lawmakers are critical of the president for not visiting the southern border while in Arizona as a surge of migrants and fentanyl continues. The president telling reporters earlier today there are more important things going on. America is listening to Fox News.
Get ready for holiday feast season with Pepto-Bismol.
Uncle Derek's here with his famous fried turkey. Hey, Aunt Mary brought the mac and cheese. Donna's here with the potato salad.
Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief for unexpected stomach upsets. So enjoy the holidays. Pepto has you covered, no matter who made the potato salad.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Partly to mostly cloudy throughout this evening with light winds switching to the north around 10 to 20 miles per hour overnight with a slight chance for a few light snow showers, but a more likely chance for scattered snow through the southern valley after 3 a.m. We'll have a low temperature of 6 below with wind chills around 10 to 20 below. Snow showers taper off Wednesday morning, then partly cloudy Wednesday afternoon. Highs near 5 with a southeast wind 5 to 15. A light dusting to an inch and a half of snow is expected in Fargo with 2 to 4 along the South Dakota border. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
And so I guess count me among the few who says that if a union has the power to shut down a school system, to shut down an economy, then just as a business that has that kind of power should be broken up, so should a union. What do you think of that? Populists, socialists, what do you think of that?
Mark Levin is on the radio.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
We start the day with several breaking news stories. It has been quite the news day, and it's only Tuesday, so we're going to dive right in. We'll hit the Trump situation, big news coming out of Arizona, all kinds of stuff. But this came out just moments ago. Matt Taibbi, if you remember, he's the one that released the Twitter files on Friday. I want to share this with you because I mentioned yesterday, you think about this. Have you ever seen a situation where there's been collusion with the federal government, i.e. the FBI, and private businesses? Well, if you know Operation Mockingbird, we talked about the church committee yesterday. I mean, there's many examples of it, but right now it's just so in your face. If this is not a breaking of the First Amendment, I don't know what is when you've got the government dictating to a private company what can and cannot be said on a social media platform. My point is, again, I want to remind you about the power of these three-letter agencies. If you missed yesterday's show, I encourage you to go back and listen to it at chrisbergshow.com, talking about the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, many, many others. But here's what Matt Taibbi just put out moments ago. On Friday, the first installment of the Twitter files was published here. We expected to publish more over the weekend. Many wondered why there was a delay. So why would there be a delay? I mean, it's Twitter. Musk just took over. He's trying to make this thing much more open source. Why would there be a delay over the weekend on the second round of the Twitter files? Like, I was wondering the same thing. I thought there was a lot more coming down, and then it was delayed. We can tell you now, part of the reason why this was delayed is because on Tuesday, Twitter Deputy General Counsel and former FBI General Counsel Jim Baker was fired. Among the reasons, vetting the first batch of the Twitter files without any knowledge of the new management. I mean, the FBI just continues to put its fingers into everything. So now the second batch of the Twitter files delayed because another FBI menace, if you will, put in their fingers where it shouldn't have been. So I will get to what's important for you. When they found this out, their jaw hit the floor, says Matt Taibbi. Baker, if you remember, is that controversial figure. He's been something of a Z-Lig, Taibbi says, of the FBI controversies dating back to 2016. Why? The Steele dossier. The Steele dossier to the Alpha server mess. He resigned in 2018 from the FBI after investigations. The news that Baker was reviewing the Twitter files surprised everyone, he goes on to say the least. The new Twitter chief Twit, Elon Musk, acted quickly to exit Baker today on Tuesday. So Jim Baker has now been fired from Twitter, but he was the head of counsel there, head of the FBI counsel. It's just stunning to see how many places they've got their fingers in. And then now let's talk about this. So let's sort of game theory this out for a moment. We got a special guest we're going to bring to you because there was breaking news out of Barnes County as well today. But let's just game theory something out here for a moment. We all know many people today, we live in this sort of Twitter world. People read the headlines. So the big headline today, Trump organization convicted in New York criminal tax fraud case. So Trump org convicted on all 17 counts of tax fraud in this case in front of a Manhattan jury. Doesn't mean anything that Donald Trump was convicted, just his organization was convicted. There's going to be some fines. So that's the headline for today. Trump org convicted, criminal fraud, tax case, obviously not good. On the other side of the country in Arizona, You've got a ginormous headline, which is really good. And I'm saying, let's game theory this out to 2024. You've got a certain candidate where his organization convicted of tax fraud. And now you've got Tim Cook from Apple saying, hey, guess what? In 2024, we will now be able to say that our chips and our iPhones and our iWatches and our Macs are made in the USA. Major investment, $40 billion investment from a chip manufacturing plant, Taiwanese-owned company, but now is going to happen in the Phoenix area. And guess what? Chips are going to be used in Apple components starting in 2024 per Tim Cook. I mean, those are huge storylines, which again only sort of sets the seeds, if you will, the foundation for what's going to be happening in 2024. The question you want to ask yourself is now Tim Cook was sharing the stage with President Joe Biden. So he's in Phoenix meeting President Joe Biden, but did he go to the border? Did he take time to go down to the southern border, as many states, including Texas, has called it an invasion of our nation? The president did not. More on that later in the show. I want to bring in our special guest now. Earlier today, there was a Barnes County Commission meeting. Part of that meeting was regards to, we talked about this with this special guest earlier about this, but in Valley City, the Valley City Public Library was using your tax dollars to go out and purchase, I think many would say, sexually explicit books that they were having in the kids section. And so Ian Wessner, he's with the Valley City Times Record there, the editor, done some outstanding reporting on this story. So Ian, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris. I'm trying to follow up Elon Musk and the FBI. I feel a little small time now.
No, I just, it's funny. I want to, if we have time, if you don't mind, I'd love to get your take on, him giving that story to Matt Taibbi. Just what does that mean for new media, but also just your take on what's going on with this whole scenario. But first, let's start with the Barnes County Commission meeting today. Just sort of, if you don't mind, for our audience that maybe didn't hear you when you were on last time, lay the groundwork. What was going on today, and what came out of it?
Well, certainly. So basically, the long and short of it is that there is a book in the Barnes County Valley City Public Library that has extremely explicit material in it. Perhaps the most egregious being that it instructs children. So it's for kids, it's for teenagers, and it instructs them in things like how to use sex toys. It encourages them to go online and research pornography, and it has extremely explicit, sexually graphic, effectively pornographic images, cartoons that depicts basically everything under the sun. And it's there in the public library, and nobody knew about it. So we reported that, and now everybody knows about it. And from our reporting, other libraries have been found out to have this book and worse. And to my understanding, there's now 3 different pieces of legislation that are going to be introduced. So this has really grown into a really big thing. And it started all here at Valley City, and it's ongoing to this day.
Again, I got to give you a big shout out and congratulations. Now that you've instigated potentially 3 pieces of legislation, I think that in of itself is a tip of the hat to you. And I say this every single time I introduce you. Anybody on the planet that can get 17 people to show up to a library meeting is incredible. So, I mean, that was you. You ran the story, and a bunch of people showed up at the next library meeting. So obviously you've got a lot of eyes on the story. So you go to the meeting today. Again, share with us just what was said, who stood up and said what was the outcome of today's meeting in regards to this sexually explicit book?
Well, I would say the subject head for this, a local county commission discussed. Maybe the issue really is that the local county commission did not discuss this. A woman has gotten very much involved in this issue. Her name is Vicky Graffing, and she made an extremely detailed, well thought out, and well put together presentation going through the entire book. She brought the book for the county commission to look at. She passed it around to all the commissioners. Some of them refused to take it. Others refused to really look at it. One guy looked at it and then promptly put it down. She presented her information about 15 minutes. She went through the entire book, highlighting things that honestly you and I didn't even discuss, things that I hadn't even noticed when I went through the book, like how it gives some very questionable advice regarding STIs. It says things like HPV and herpes are no biggie. And obviously it goes into the things that we've touched on before, these various explicit instructions and all of that. She went into further detail. There's a chapter on sexting. And she pointed out that law enforcement around the country, including the FBI, who, controversy or no, they do sometimes do law enforcement. And one of the things they've been doing is warning people about sextortion, which is essentially blackmail. Catfishers, grown men or women, will go online pretending to be teenagers. They will get teenagers to send them sexually explicit nude images, and then they will extort them for money. According to Vicky, this has resulted in suicides, really terrible, tragic stuff. And even after these children have killed themselves out of just sheer despair, their parents then are extorted by these same people. So there's a whole gamut of potential issues, and not the least of which is that this book may be fundamentally illegal under North Dakota Century Code. So Vicky presented all of this to the board, about 15, 20-minute, very tightly put together presentation. And the immediate response from the county commission president was to rebuke her for not providing this information to them ahead of time. And then he basically said that this is a matter for the public library board to take up. A proper channel exists. They should be following that proper protocol. And the buck was passed from there. Much of the county commission really didn't discuss the matter. And they'd even briefly discussed the matter before Vicky got there and came to that conclusion well before anyone showed up.
Here's one thing that I want all of us just to take a moment to really recognize and understand before I make my next comment or question to Ian. By the way, if you're just joining us, Ian Westner doing some incredible reporting out of Valley City Times, editor there. The one thing that I know about humans is that you can't unsee something. I don't know if you've seen some recent pictures on social media in regards to the Balenciaga situation, but when you're doing certain things to people, you actually tape them to a chair, do things to their eyes, and put like a VR headset on them, and you can figure out the rest. My point is you can't unsee things. And so here you've got an adult woman that shows up trying to obviously point out to these people what potentially can happen to young minds. I mean, 5-year-olds, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds that are going through the library see this book that you can't unsee it. There's the old saying, and forgive me for putting it this way, but when you pee in the river, you can't get it out. It's going downstream. And so rather than someone that's the president of the county commission going, hey, thanks for bringing this to our attention. Great job. We really should be protecting our kids. What does he do but vilify the messenger? I mean, help me understand, Ian, what in the world's going on and why?
I mean, I can't speculate too much. I don't want to editorialize too much, though I certainly could. Something that I asked them point blank when it became clear that they were basically trying to stonewall this, I asked them, could you, since we're on the record, would you be willing to say yes or no, whether or not you think that spending taxpayer money on instructional material for the use of sex toys with children is a good and responsible use of taxpayer dollars? And to his credit, the county commission president was the only one who immediately said, no, I don't think so. Everyone else refused to answer it. One man actually had the, I'll just say, audacity to cite the First Amendment and say, well, we spend taxpayer dollars on lots of things, on county health, which funds vaccines, and people were objecting to vaccines. And so I'm not willing to comment on this. And it's just, to help you understand, I think it's a little bit of cowardice. That's my professional estimation. They don't want to have the fight. They would rather this not happen. They would rather, I mean, a lot of good North Dakotans like it nice and quiet. And sadly, that extends to our politics. And I think that's what we're seeing here. They would rather bury their heads.
Ian, can you stick around for the next segment? I just want to have you put a finer point on this, and I want to get your point of view on what's happening with this Twitter situation, things like that. Does that work for you?
Sure. I'm here.
Thank you. All right. So Ian Westner's with us right now. Again, just doing some outstanding reporting about what's taking place in the Valley City Public Library on some sexually explicit books. He's the Valley City Times record editor there, and he's going to stick around and put a finer button on what took place today at this Barnes County Commission meeting. If you want to email into the show with any questions, comments, very easy to do. It's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. I want to say thank you so much to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring our studio email inbox. If you're someone out there working hard, it's getting cold out, but you got that great blue collar gig, but you're like, man, it's tough, right? I'm out here all the time. It's cold out and your feet are screaming at you. Do yourself a favor. And they've got some great Christmas deals going on as well, but go see Teresa at Red Wing Shoes. It's 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Not only are they great work boots there, but they can customize them to your feet so you feel great. Like your feet are going to just be saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, that's 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Say hi to Teresa. That's Red Wing Shoes. And stick around. We got much more coming up right after this.
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
PetroServe USA.
Call today.
For 18 years.
Been looking for a golf cart for the lake, cabin, or the course? Largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts within 150 miles is available at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 36 months on 2022 and 23 Club Car golf carts. All inventory must go. Largest selection of club cars at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
Hey, it's Scott Hannon. Our family absolutely loves the full water treatment system we put in our home from Lindsay Echo Water. We live in a flood zone. We have the best ag land in the country. The river floods over and over, and on that land, the water recedes, and the trace elements of those herbicides go into our water, unless you have a full water treatment system like I do from Lindsay Echo Water Systems. Cooking is way better, too. Same with coffee. Go to lindsayEchoWater.com for details or call 218-233-8655, 218-233-8655. Mike Lindell has an all-new product, My Coffee. And is it good? It starts with beans grown in Honduras, where the climate has perfect growing conditions to produce the best beans ever. Every single batch is tested to make sure it meets the very highest industry standard. And all of the production is done right here in the USA. You can order ground whole bean or single cert coffee pods, certified organic and non-GMO. It's like you're getting that small batch specialty coffee delivered monthly right to your door. So go to mystore.com, use the promo code Scott, or call 800-506-9028. You'll save 50% on your My Coffee subscription. Sign up today and you'll get a free Go Anywhere My Pillow. Cancel anytime and keep the Go Anywhere pillow on Mike. Support Mike's platform for USA entrepreneurs. mystore.com. That's mystore.com. Or call 800-506-9028. Promo code Scott.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association at this station.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. If you want to call into the show, very easy to do, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America feel better. If you're out and about today and you see a PetroServe USA, please stop in. Fill up the tank, but also fill up the belly on some great food. They got the Cafe USA there as well with burgers and chicken and all kinds of delicious goodies at your local PetroServe USA. All right, well, he stuck around for us, and thank you very much for doing that. Ian Westner, he is the editor at Valley City Times Record, doing some great reporting about a sexually explicit book that was in the Valley, or as far as I know, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, still in the Valley City Public Library. There was a Barnes County Commission meeting earlier today in regards to that, and just want to give you a chance, Ian, to number one, is the book still in the library, and two, just put a finer point on what happened in that meeting, and where do we go from here?
It is still in the library, and something about this that keeps getting brought up is that people seem to claim that this is an attempt to book burn or book ban. And what's so baffling about this is that even the people most upset about this book being there don't want it banned. Everyone is very mindful of the First Amendment. They want simply some degree of restriction on who can see the book so that children can't just pick it up and look at it. But even that is beyond the pale for the people who are defending this. They see this as an affront They claim it's a civil liberties issue, and they refuse to discuss the matter. It's really, there's a lot of condescension, in my opinion. And that's what kind of happened at the county commission. They didn't want to discuss it. They don't want to have the conversations. So the conversations continue to be had in circles. And it's either everyone's in agreement, everyone's in disagreement. There is no discourse. And this is a huge problem.
So I guess where do we go from here? And then you mentioned some pieces of legislation, which I presume, knowing our legislature, they're going to try and ban these books or make sure they're only in certain sections of a library, or what?
I don't know the detail. I just found out that this might be happening. And I believe some of our local legislators here in Barnes County might be introducing them. I know Mike LaFleur in the Dickinson area has expressed great disgust at the state of this. And I would say actually full credit to the editor of the Dickinson Press, James Miller, and to that newspaper. Their coverage of this has similarly sparked similar public reaction. I think 200 people showed up to their public library board.
Get out of here.
I know. If you're looking for a good interview, do reach out to him because he could share some great stories about the same issue. So as I understand it, there is some legislation being introduced. This is a national issue. Vicky Graffing today in the library at the meeting even mentioned Gillette, Wyoming has taken some very good steps. Their library board changed their mission statement and did some other actions to really try to correct this issue and give the community a greater voice.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mike LaFleur is going to be the new majority leader in the House, right? Or
that's what I had heard. So
yeah, so I mean, he's going to have some clout. If he's fired up, there may be some interesting legislative pieces put forward to ensure that, I don't know, protect the minds of our kids. Sometimes that used to be a good idea. So again, Ian Westner is with us. He's with the Valley City Times. Record does a great job there on some reporting. The editor. Ian, just quickly, I just want to get your assessment on two things with this Twitter situation. Just overall, your takeaway from the thread that was released last Friday. And then secondly, just because you're a reporter, I'm really curious your point of view in the fact that Elon went to Matt Taibbi, a guy in Substack, right, to release this rather than New York Times, WAPO, whatever it might be, but just an interesting, I think, shift in where I believe the media is going.
I agree with that. And I was give kudos to Elon for choosing an actual journalist as opposed to corporate media, because I don't think we've seen too much actual journalism out of the New York Times in some time. That being said, I'm not that impressed by the Twitter file release because I don't see why Elon didn't just do what WikiLeaks does and dump it all where we could all see it. I don't like any single person being trusted with disseminating the news when the news is of such importance and is of such complexity. And something about Matt Taibbi's reporting, he mentioned that both sides, the Trump White House and the Biden campaign, had reached out to get tweets removed. And while he said that it was mostly the Biden side, to me, that if both sides are seeking censorship, I want to know everything about that. I want that to be transparent. And I'm a little wary about this this picking out champions on Elon's part. To quote a certain artist, no one man should have all that power.
Well, I think you bring up a really interesting point. It would have been nice to see him just kind of dump it. But I also think that Elon's, he's playing chess, right? Trying to find some people he can have good graces with and build some street cred with those people just down the road, just in case, because I think he's got a big target on his back. So anything else you want to add or share, sir?
Honestly, the only thing I'd like to add is really that this is an interesting time for journalism. This story about the library book was a big deal, but this was simply the work of one person at one little paper who managed to cause a big impact. And I'm not like patting myself on the back. I want people to understand that you don't need to be the New York Times to be breaking great news. In fact, your local paper or even your local independent journalists can do so much to keep you informed and to hold people accountable. If you don't have a small town newspaper anymore, start a Facebook group and start asking questions. Start holding people accountable. If there is one great thing to be excited about with Twitter is that the individual is starting to have a greater voice than ever. Individuals can be great journalists too. This is the era now for citizens to start really reporting on the news.
So well said. And thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of times here on the show, we talk about, decentralized finance and things that are being decentralized. I think many of us are tired of that sort of tyrannical thumb. But the fact that I would say media, journalism is becoming completely decentralized with Substack and Twitter. So if you're someone that's got a passion for going out there and digging for the truth, you obviously, as Ian's saying, can make a huge, huge impact. So Ian, thanks for saying that.
Hey, thank you.
Great job again, Ian Westner. He's with the Valley City Times Record. Keep up the great work, my friend. I know we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Absolutely. You too. God bless, Chris.
Thank you. You too, my friend. All right, so Ian Westner again, Valley City Times Record. Big meeting today in Barnes County in regards to this sexually explicit book in the Valley City Public Library. I want to move on to another story. By the way, tomorrow morning, I believe, I think it's 10 or 11 o'clock our time. Don't know exactly, remember, but just so you know, tomorrow, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is going to release his budget for the upcoming legislative session, which kicks off January 3rd already. I mean, we're less than a month away from the new legislative session taking off here in North Dakota. I mentioned the budget and that piece because, again, North Dakota can score a victory. But there's an interesting twist to the story I want to share with you. Not so much to the story, but just the overall big picture of what's happening right now in Minnesota. So last night at the Grand Forks City Council meeting, the CEO of Epitome Energy announced that there was going to be a big $400 million soybean crushing plant investment in the city of Grand Forks. So you say, kudos. I mean, way to go, Grand Forks. Great job. That's fantastic news. The piece that as I started digging into the story, realizes that they're moving this plant because the state of Minnesota had been courting this plant to be put in Crookston now for, it sounds like, 4 years. 4 years they're trying to get the soybean crushing plant in the city of Crookston, and they couldn't get it done. Why? Because of all the stinking regulations that happen in Minnesota. So now you've got Minnesota losing this $400 million investment from Epitome Energy that was going to be in Crookston, now going to Grand Forks. You may remember, I think it was about a month or so ago, we also mentioned to you that another great company out of Minnesota up in the Iron Range area does mining. They're going to now move a big investment, again, ironically $400 million, but $400 million plan out of Minnesota into North Dakota to mine. Not really mine. They're going to continue to mine the nickel, but they're going to manufacture it, refurbish it, if you will, here in North Dakota, again, because of the regulations. And I put this thread out on Twitter about it, and I'll get more to it when we come back, what's really interesting and unique about the story. But I put this out and somebody hit me up and they're like, oh gosh, what a shame that Minnesota wants to protect its air and water and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you do any research and you look what the American Lung Association says about North Dakota, and we've got some of the cleanest air in the country. In fact, Bismarck and Fargo were both in the top 10 lists of cleanest air in the nation, like top 10 clean air places. So North Dakota is just fine. And my point is that if you do it right, as Governor Burgum would often say, innovation over regulation, guess what? You can have clean air, clean water, and industry. And they all can work really, really well together to help raise the quality of life for all citizens in a state. But, and I rarely use the word BUT, there's something very interesting going on in Minnesota. So businesses leaving, and yet today they announced a record in Minnesota that I'm going to tell you about when we come back that just was like, wait, what? How does that happen? I'll tell you what it is when we come back right here on the Chris Berg Show. If you want to call in, you can do so. Excuse me, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100.
When we'll be free, so we patiently wait.
Partly to mostly cloudy throughout this evening with light winds switching to the north around 10 to 20 miles per hour overnight with a slight chance for a few light snow showers, but a more likely chance for scattered snow through the southern valley after 3 a.m. We'll have a low temperature of 6 below with wind chills around 10 to 20 below. Snow showers taper off Wednesday morning, then partly cloudy Wednesday afternoon. Highs near 5 with a southeast wind 5 to 15. A light dusting to an inch and a half of snow is expected in Fargo with 2 to 4 along the South Dakota border. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
During the holidays and always, Jeannie and her staff at Encore Family Consignment Store in downtown Fertile, Minnesota, would like to invite you to stop in and check out the new consignments arriving daily. Christmas decor, books, movies, clothing, and so much more. Something for everyone in the family. Shop local and stop in today. Your friends at Encore Family Consignment in beautiful Fertile, Minnesota wish you the warmest of friendships and a very Merry Christmas. See you soon at Encore Family Consignment.
Did you know that medical expenses are the leading cause of bankruptcy? When someone experiences health issues or other trauma, it impacts the entire family, emotionally and financially. Lost wages make it challenging to keep up with expenses, and holidays can be especially stressful. Many families are faced with tough choices. Do they fill the prescription, the fridge, or their children's stockings? This holiday season, you can help your neighbors through Holiday Hand Up, a giving event hosted by Lend a Hand Up. Donations made to Holiday Hand Up now through December 15th boost help for many of your neighbors through one tax-deductible gift. To learn more about local families participating in this year's giving event and to add your support, go to lendahandup.org. That's lendahandup.org. Lend a Hand Up is a subsidiary nonprofit of the Dakota Medical Foundation. Gifts to Holiday Hand Up are matched by Alex Stern Family Foundation and Gateway Chevrolet.
As a farmer, you make a lot of important decisions that impact the profitability of your operation. When considering your crop insurance options for the 2023 growing season, turn to Ag Country Farm Credit Services. The insurance team at Ag Country knows agriculture, and they'll work to personalize a multi-peril crop insurance policy to fit your needs and protect your bottom line. Contact Ag Country today to get started. Ag Country, focused on ag, focused on you.
Hello, this is Matt Lehman and Mike Welski with Fargo Roofing and Siding.
We are here to help you with all of your commercial and residential roofing needs. Whether it's insurance-related repairs, remodeling, or new construction projects, our team is here to help.
We will approach every job with what we call Fargo values of honesty, integrity, accountability, and strong work ethic.
Schedule your free estimate today at fargoroofing.com. We are now scheduling for 2023. That's fargoroofing.com.
Fargo Roofing and Siding.
Have you ever thought about selling your home but quickly talk yourself out of it when you consider all the repairs, cleaning, inspections, open houses, and the unknown of what price your home will actually sell at? Stop stressing. We will buy your home as is with no appraisals or costly commissions to worry about. You can even pick your closing date. Call me, John Masala with JK Property Partners at 701-306-3229 or go to fargohomevalues.com for an instant valuation.
Do you love working on cars but don't love your current job? If so, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. We're a family-owned full-service auto repair shop looking to hire skilled automotive technicians. With our state-of-the-art shops, great work environment with competitive pay and benefits, you'll enjoy a great job with a bigger purpose and a lot of opportunity for advancement. Visit FixItForwardAutoCare.com to apply. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
Always have, will always be fighting for the stripes and every star, every star. So don't tread on me or my memory. I'll fight for you so that you're free. We've never met, but bet I'll do it again. And I'll lose my mind.
Major shout out to our new board op here, Mike, playing us some great tunes, always talking about freedom. So, Michael, thank you so much for that. Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. If you want to call into the show and share your point of view, really, I mean, there's so much going on. Whatever's on your heart, call in. The number to do so, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. We got a caller right now on the line just outside of Valley City. Gene, welcome to the show. What's your point of view, sir?
Thank you for taking my call, Chris. Thank you for having Ian on. Chris, do you remember this fall, Fort Ransom? You spoke at the Republican district meeting down there.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what you spoke on?
God, family, country.
Right. And you talked about Solomon.
Yes.
What took Solomon down?
He turned away from God and started focusing on idols.
And
And
Solomon had another problem also.
He did, yes. He
Yes.
had a lot of concubines and wives.
Yes. Okay. That involves the book in the library in Valley City. That's where it starts. That will, I'm trying to find out, one of the planks of the Communist Party is to sexualize the children in a country that they want to take down. And I haven't gotten it yet. But anyway, on to North Dakota's finances. Did you know North Dakota is the richest state in the union per capita? Way beyond any other state.
I didn't know that, but I made that presumption.
Yep, we are. Okay, Friday is going to be budget day. Chris, what is the largest economic sector of American agriculture?
The largest economic sector of American ag? You mean like what crop, or what do you mean specifically?
Yep.
Corn.
Well, my latest figures are from January of 2019. Number one economic sector was beef at $74 billion, followed by corn at $47 billion, and nothing else even comes close. Now those figures would have changed at this point. You talked about a soybean plant at Grand Forks. Why is it always soybeans and corn? Why don't we have a North Dakota packing plant? We have a state mill, we have a state bank. And here's the thing on North Dakota's finances. I want to see a complete report to the people, to the stockholders, of all of North Dakota's finances and where they are. And if they're not in North Dakota, they need to be brought back to North Dakota. Think of what we could do. Chris?
Yeah, I'm with you, Gene. Gene, thanks so much for the call. I really appreciate it. I mean, I hear you, and there's also, opportunity. I don't know if the state's doing some of these things as a hedge, because there's so much money flowing through the fingers of our state right now. They say, hey, we're only going to put it in North Dakota. The North Dakota packing plant piece, love the idea. I don't know what the holdup is there, if it's regulations or what's going on, but I think that would be just a fantastic thing to have here in the state. But also there's so much opportunity, within the software space and things like that. And I know we're doing some great things with Grand Farm. So that's a conversation we can have once we get some of these budgets released. But boy, he's talking about transparency with the dollars in our state. Good luck. I mean, unless you've got a PhD in finance, like, good luck trying to figure all that out, because they've got it in so many different little cubby holes and pockets. It's just, at least for me, it's mind blowing. You're like, wait a second, you've got this fund and this fund and this fund and this fund. And you're like, just tell me what we have, and then just give it back to me. Then just give me back my money. That's all I'm asking. So we'll see how this thing plays out. I think it's going to be a really fascinating session in regards to property taxes. I do like the fact that they're trying to lower income taxes. I think we should just get rid of them. That's my opinion, but they're going to make it a flat rate. If you make above, I think it's 70, 80, 90 grand as a couple or something like that. We'll get more specifics as it comes out, but just get rid of the things. You know what? We can focus our time and energy elsewhere. And, but anyways, thank you so much, Gene, for the phone call. If you want to call in, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. You can also text us, thanks to super producer Chris Larson, 701-203-2260, 701-203-2260. Gene started by saying, hey, thank you for having Ian on. And Ian's just done some amazing work in Valley City. So if you get a chance, check out his work there. And we got another email from Valerie. Says, hey, Chris, thank you so much for having Ian on. Didn't get to the meeting, but this is pathetic. Pass the buck. They were just reelected, so they are safe. But this will come back to haunt them. Apathy is the vomit of the gods. Keep in touch, Valerie. So thank you for that. And Ian is doing really, really great work. Another email here comes in. Obscenity control, North Dakota Century Code. Thank you very much for this. Exceptions to criminal liability shall not apply to the possession or distribution of material in the course of law enforcement, judicial, or legislative activities, or to the possession or material by a bona fide school, college, university, museum, or public library for the limited access for educational research purposes carried on such an institution by adults only. The library refused to control this book and say it must be available to everyone regardless of age. So thank you for that, Roy. If you want to call in and sort of explain that more, that would be great, because I was just doing a cold read there. Number to call in, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. I want to touch on something here. We've got a couple of minutes, but I mentioned to you a moment ago the fact that Minnesota is losing, again, 701-271-1100. Minnesota is losing businesses. All right, so businesses are making major investments. I mean, $400 million here in the great state of North Dakota, in large part just because there's just too many regs, too much red tape happening in Minnesota. To the tune of Talon Metals, $400 million investment in North Dakota. Now you've got Epitome Energy, soybean crushing plant, $400 million investment in Grand Forks and IE in North Dakota. And yet, today, the state of Minnesota makes an announcement. And I just want to read a little bit to you this is from Senator Mark Johnson and Minnesota Representative Deb Keel, and their statement in regards to Epitome Energy making this investment in North Dakota. I believe this is a joint statement. It says this, and I'm quoting, "This is tough news for Crookston, northwestern Minnesota, and our state," Johnson said. "Due to a grindingly slow regulatory process by the Walz administration, we just lost many well-paying jobs, millions of dollars of investment in our local economy, revenue for our local schools, and desperately needed property tax relief. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum once again stepped up to snatch another promising business from Minnesota while the MPCA and the Walz administration push away growth and progress for our communities." Let's go to Tom in West Fargo. Tom, welcome to the show. What's your point of view? If we, he's like an octopus. He's doing about 8 things back there. So hopefully we can bring Michael, if you want to just let me know when Tom's available. But running a board and answering phones and things is not easy. So Michael's doing a great job. And Michael, when he's ready to go, let me know and we'll bring him up. Okay. I think he's good. Tom, are you with us, sir? Michael's telling me 1 second. Tom, go ahead, sir. And we've got about 30 seconds here, so we'll keep you through the break. But Tom, go ahead. What's your point of view?
I'm just wondering about property taxes. Like, I paid off my house, and I still have to pay property tax. I paid sales tax on it. So do I really own the house, or am I renting it from the city and the county?
I love you. That is like the greatest question. It makes no sense to me. You paid off your home. Do you have any kids in the education system?
Nope, graduated and gone.
Yeah. And here you are paying for an education system that's getting them about, 37% proficiency in math, maybe 39% in reading. That's a good ROI, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, that's real good numbers.
So I guess my question, do you mind staying through the breaks? I'd love to ask you, so what's your solution? Are you suggesting, hey, Chris, I don't want to pay any property taxes. I paid off my home. Then what does it mean for other people? Yeah. So stay with us here. If you want to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100.
Hi, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. Join Gary Lezak and me, along with Justin Storm and Ag Director Bridget Riedel, for this year's Winter Weather Outlook. Gary invented a new way to forecast long-term weather using a recurring cycling method called the LRC. The LRC has accurately predicted our wet spring this year and predicted Hurricane Ian's landfall all the way back in March. Find out more on December 7th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on The Jay Thomas Show on AM 970 or 93.1 FM, or watch online at AM1100theflag.com. All brought to you by Jiffy Lube of Fargo.
North Dakota is a special place.
Oil and gas supports more than 60,000 jobs in the state of North Dakota. And the industry is vital to our economy, adding nearly $4 billion in state and local tax revenues.
Why would we buy oil from dictators when we have it right here? We produce it the cleanest, the greenest of anywhere in the world.
Keep creating great jobs, and right here in North Dakota.
We support North Dakota Oil and Gas.
Paid for by American Experiments, North Dakota. AmericanExperimentND.org.
Ever see a piece of land and say, I wonder if that's for sale? There's someone who knows. Jost Investments. Land development is what they do in the tri-state area, working with buyers and sellers and all the entities needed to get the deal done. Land acquisition is big in the region, and Jost Investments is securing wanted land for many companies and selling land for many owners, putting together the right deal for everyone. And they can offer land options you may not even be aware of. Call Scott Jost today. Jost Investments.
Hey, it's Scott Hinton here. So excited to tell you about, in this time of crazy upheaval and open borders and spending gone crazy and mandates and lockdowns and inflation, there's something we can do. We can buy from a company that believes what you and I believe. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They offer broad nationwide coverage. In fact, they use the very same towers as all the major carriers. And they have plans to fit any budget. And their 100% U.S.-based customer support team provides exceptional customer support. Patriot Mobile shares your values. They support organizations fighting for religious freedom, constitutional rights, the sanctity of life, veteran and first responder heroes. Go to patriotmobile.com/flagfamily or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation with the offer code FLAGFAMILY. patriotmobile.com/flagfamily. patriotmobile.com/flagfamily. Or call 972-PATRIOT right now.
Make your holiday season merry and brighter at Bethany. At Bethany Retirement Living, our warm assisted living and basic care communities are filled with jolly and compassionate staff. You'll be able to relax and enjoy the wonderful amenities, private living quarters, and complimentary services offered at both of our locations. 'Tis the season for good tidings and quality care. Call today to schedule a tour or go online to BethanyND.org. Reside, relax, rehab. Bethany Retirement Living.
Before you get mad, you gotta fall down before you fight back. Was feeling so weak, but baby, I'm strong. Little did I know I'm a champion. I'm a champion.
Michael, loving it. Am I up here? Michael, great job with the music again. Appreciate that. If you want to call to the show, 701-271-1100. Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. This is your daily dose of truth to help set you free. We want to go back here to Tom, Michael, if we can cue this up, please. Tom out of West Fargo called. He's paid off his home. He's saying, hey, why am I still paying property taxes? Do I really own my home, or am I just sort of leasing this from the city as they continue, I'm assuming, to charge you specials as well? So, Tom, I hope you're still with us. Are you there, sir?
Are you talking to me?
Is this Tom?
Well, I'm Tom from West Fargo, but not with that question.
You were the one that said, hey, I want to get rid of property taxes, correct?
No, sir.
Oh, we have another Tom in West Fargo, maybe. So
Yes,
go
sir,
ahead, Tom. What's your point of view?
Okay, just real quick. I spent over 50 years in Minnesota. My wife and I had our own business in northern Minnesota for 13 years. Regulations are exorbitant. And one of the reasons we moved to North Dakota, we're proud to say we're from North Dakota and we'll never move back to Minnesota. The regulations are awful. I'm really glad those big businesses, well, especially the one that's in Tamarack doing the nickel mining, nickel or copper, one of the two, is going to send everything out toward, I think, Dickinson for smelting. And but the one from Crookston over to Grand Forks, that's great. I help more businesses. Unfortunately, it hurts the people left in Minnesota.
Tom, great call. Welcome to North Dakota. It's great to have you here. One of the fascinating things I just want to get your take on, because I just found it really interesting. So you've got all these businesses that are leaving because of all the regs and whatnot. And yet, I don't know if you saw the news today. Wait till you hear this. Did you hear about the budget surplus in Minnesota today, Tom?
Yeah, it doubled, like $17.5 billion, isn't it?
17.6. What? How did that happen?
Well, remember what Walt said in his very first campaign. He wanted to turn Minnesota into California. He's doing it. He's in the process. He's doing it.
He is. And I think – go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say is that now that the Dems control the House and the Senate by one vote, by one person, I pity the people. We got a lot of good friends in Minnesota. I cannot imagine what's going to happen, especially to, well, the Rocks and Cows district. That's most of outside of North Dakota, outside of the Twin Cities.
Tom, great call. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, that was what I wanted to share with everyone is that so then you've got all these businesses now that are making investments in North Dakota. Obviously, Tom, perfect example, left Minnesota. I know other people that have done the same, and yet they recorded a $17.6 billion with a B budget surplus in Minnesota. And you got to ask yourself, what? How? I haven't had a chance to dive into the numbers, but I'm presuming because if you remember, we talked about this a while back, they just got absolutely flooded with COVID money, right? It was all the federal dollars that were flying around, especially to the blue states. And I think that's what's giving them this budget surplus so they can go out and tout, make themselves look good because it just doesn't make sense. And I mean CENTS and SENSE, right? Like when you've got a high tax state, I think they're what, third or fourth in the nation now as far as income taxes, a high tax state. We know businesses are leaving, and then you've got that kind of budget surplus. It just doesn't add up. So great for the calls. Mike is he's getting the board down. So for Tom in West Fargo, I apologize if there was a mix up there and anyone else that called in. We're getting better every single day. So we've got just about a minute and a half or two left here. So we will definitely get some more calls tomorrow. I just want to remind you, it's 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. In the last sort of minute and a half that we have, I will ask you this. Was there ever an NDSU Bison football player that you thought would tie Randy Moss for a record? I mean, you know the saying, you got mossed. You're talking about Randy Moss. Practice. Randy Moss. Has there ever been a Bison player like, yeah, that guy kind of reminds me. It could be maybe Randy Moss. Check this out. This is incredible. I'm going to play a little clip for you. Most touchdowns scored over a 4-game span for a rookie wide receiver in NFL history. 1998, Randy Moss with 8. 2022, Christian Watson with 8. He'd missed some games. Over a 4-game span now, Christian Watson tied with Randy Moss for most touchdowns in NFL history. Christian Watson had a great run over the weekend I want to share with you. Green Bay Packers radio guy said this.
Rodgers under center, single back offense. Motion by Watson to the left side. Give to Christian Watson around the left.
Give me some volume, Mike, please.
40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. He leaps into the end zone for the dagger. Touchdown. Christian Watson, the rookie, delivers the dagger. His second rushing touchdown of the season.
Kudos to Christian Watson. I mean, he's just absolutely balling right now. Again, didn't have a great start. Maybe remember, I think his first pass thrown in was a bomb against the Vikes, and he dropped it, but he's picked things back up. The general manager of the Packers, really, really impressed with Christian Watson, so great news there. Be sure and join us on tomorrow's show. I mentioned earlier, Governor Doug Burgum is going to give his budget address tomorrow, so we'll dive into some of those numbers for you and tell you what does that mean for you and your dinner table on tomorrow's show. And, of course, much, much more coming up right here at 4 on The Chris Berg Show. I love you. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow at